all chasing this idea of gender equality. But what if we're chasing the wrong thing? What if the harmony we're looking for isn't found in sameness, but in difference?
All right, let's really dig into this. The whole idea here is that this search for, perfect mathematical equality, it's a man-made concept. It's not some law you find out in the wild.
So that leads us right into what's being called the equality illusion. I mean, everywhere you look, there's this push for a perfect 50-50 split in, well, everything. But does that idea really hold water when you start to poke at it?
Right, the goal we hear about all the time is perfect parity. A 50-50 split between men and women in every single job. The thinking is, hey, that's what a fair society looks like. And yeah, on the surface, that sounds pretty good. But let's actually put that logic to the test. So, what about something like this? The source brings up a really pointed example. Sewer workers. Should 50% of them be women? When you start applying this 50-50 rule everywhere, especially to really physically demanding jobs, you kind of have to stop and ask, is this goal even practical? Is it even what people want in every single case? Okay, now this is where things get really fascinating. You'd think that in the most gender-equal countries on Earth, places with the most freedom, the fewest barriers, everything would balance out, right? Well, the data shows the exact opposite. The differences in career choices actually get bigger. Men still flock to fields like engineering, and women gravitate towards nursing. It suggests that when you give people more freedom to choose, they might actually lean into their natural inclinations.
So if the goal isn't sameness, then what's the alternative? Well, nature seems to have a different model. It's a principle called complementarity. And the whole idea is that it's not about being identical. It's about how different parts create a better whole. Yeah, so complementarity is basically this. It's not about two things being the same. It's about how their unique, different parts are actually designed to fit together, to lock in and create something way stronger and more complete than either one could be by itself.
This is a great way to picture it. The push for equality is like having two identical puzzle pieces. Sure, they can sit next to each other, but they can't connect. There's no lock. But complementarity, that's like two different Lego bricks. It's their differences, the bumps on one and the holes on the other, that allow them to snap together and build something solid.
And you see this pattern all over nature. I mean, think about a fruit and its seed. They couldn't be more different, right? But they're part of one integrated system. The fruit is there for the seed, and the seed exists because of the fruit. They have totally different jobs, but they're working towards the exact same goal.
Okay, so if this idea of complementarity is baked into our biology, why is there so much conflict and friction in our world today? The argument here is that the problem isn't us, it's the environment we've created for ourselves. Think about it like this. For pretty much all of human history, we evolved in a natural environment. Then, in a very short amount of time, we built these modern cities and systems that are totally disconnected from that nature. So we've got our ancient hardware trying to run in a brand new artificial world. Is it really any surprise that there are glitches and conflicts? It's like we built this incredibly complex maze ourselves, and now we're all inside it, shouting and fighting because we can't find our way out. The point isn't that there's something wrong with men or women, but that the world we've constructed is actively working against our own innate biology.
So what's pouring gasoline on this fire? What's making this disconnect from our nature even worse? Well, the argument points to one massive influence: the media.
And get this, the source throws out a pretty wild number. It suggests that maybe as much as 85% of our thoughts and beliefs aren't even really ours. They're the product of what's being called media pumping. Just a constant, non-stop feed of ideas being pushed on us.
And the reason this is so effective is because it hijacks the way our brains work. If you hear something enough times, it starts to feel true. If it looks like everybody else believes it, we tend to go along with it. And if something is dressed up in scientific-sounding language, we just assume it's a fact, no questions asked.
So, with all that said, what's the solution? Is it to just burn the whole system down? No, not at all. The path forward, according to this view, isn't revolution. It's something much older and, well, more natural. And there's a really important distinction made here. Nature doesn't really do revolutions, it evolves. Change in the natural world is slow, it's adaptive, it happens out of necessity over a long time. These sudden, forced, top-down changes, that's a human thing, and it can be pretty messy.
Which brings us to some really ancient wisdom. Know thyself. The whole argument boils down to this. Maybe real progress isn't about fighting against our own nature. Maybe it's about understanding it first. Before we try to re-engineer all of society,
Maybe we should take a minute to read the user manual for ourselves, to understand our own biological factory settings.
So this really leaves us with a big question to chew on. Are we spending all this energy trying to fix a problem that we actually created ourselves, simply by ignoring our own nature? What if all this social friction isn't something to be solved by forcing everyone to be the same, but by understanding and even celebrating our complementary design? What if the answer isn't out there, but has been inside us all along?